Well, welcome to another video. Different one this time. I thought I'd do a little bit about my Centaur, where it's at in its kind of upgrade program, what's going on with it, and also talk about a bit of stupidity from me on transmitters and some of the journey that I've had this week. So it's been an interesting week for that. But let's have a look at the Centaur, where it is, what upgrades, and then I've also got, saying just come through the post today, we've got some goodies. Most of it's servicing, but I've got a brass, so we've got the FTX brass front end that we'll put on today. We'll do that today on the video while I talk about some other stuff. But then I've got 2 shock rebuild packs. I've got the clips for the body, which we'll talk about, and I've got a spare set of plastic parts for the body. Again, we'll talk about something that I did that means we're going to need those at some point in the future. So we'll put those to the side, but the brass thing will fit. I'll tell you a couple of the stupid stories while I fit that later today. So bought this as a trail truck a while ago. This week it's been cosmetic stuff that I've been doing to it, so we'll talk about that maybe towards the end, but we'll do it through kind of the history of the truck and what I've done to it. So first of all, the biggest thing I did probably to start with was wheels and tyres. So the standard wheels and tyres are all right, they're fine, they're great for trail running. I didn't feel they were good enough for some of the trails and things we wanted to do, and so I found a pair of Proline trenchers online. These haven't got silicone inserts in them yet, they will have at some point. And then just some Endura metal tyres on those for the moment. Nothing brass, nothing too heavy. Didn't want to overload the servo, and they performed brilliantly at the Scale Nationals. The other thing I did, John from who was on Scale Nationals, well, I kind of met him at RC Complex. I've replaced the winch cable with this, which is a fishing line. Did some nice knots and then put some heat shrink on it. It's a lot lighter, a lot more flexible, a lot easier to kind of deal with on the trail. Really, really good. And you can get a little bit more on the winch. The cosmetics we'll talk about towards the end, because that's kind of the last thing I did. I did get a tow bar for it, and I've still got the tow bar, but I haven't got it fitted. The one thing I found with the tow bar was it really impacted the exit angle. So as you're coming out up at kind of this angle, it brought it down to quite a bit, because the if you can see, the tow bar fits in there. It's great. I might get a trailer for this at one point just for fun, but it sticks out probably about 2-3 centimeters, maybe an inch, and it just really, it has quite a big impact on that climb angle. So we got rid of that. Let me put this on the floor for now. What else have I done to it? So the other big thing I did early on is I wanted to go with a transmitter that I could use with all of my kit. So I was running this, and we'll talk about the so Spektrum DX5 Rugged, an OK controller. So I had to change out the receiver, obviously. Now, a couple of things that came up with that. Where is it? I've got it here. So if I get the stock receiver, so there's the stock lighting, the lighting control box as stock. Really, really good, because it's for those that don't know, it's a magnetic, it says with screws all over the place. It's a magnetic connector, and it only connects one way. So when you disconnect the body, it just pops off. When you want to reconnect the body, it just pops on. It's really, really good. The problem I had was the other end is one of these cables that goes into this bespoke receiver. So the cable goes in kind of like that. I wanted to switch over to Spektrum receivers, because I wanted all my stuff to run Spektrum. And that led to a problem, because obviously the other end of this is also one of those. It's I can't remember what they're called. They are, hold on, I've got them here. DuPont connectors is what they're called. So if you're looking for them, they're DuPont connectors. And so what I had to do is I created a cable, found out which cables here went to which lights, and the ones that, identified the ones I wanted. So I've got tail lights, headlights and amber lights all on all the time. So I bought a DuPont connector set, wired up a standard power cable from a servo into a DuPont connector and connected it into there. So I've still got just the one connector, it's not magnetic, one connector comes out here, connects into, I've got a splitter lead, connects into the splitter lead there, and that gives us power for light. So I've got lights on all the time, so I've got no light controller on this anymore because and I'm not bothered about that, but I am bothered about having like one controller for all my, or as many of my trucks as I possibly could. So keeping all the spare bits so that I can turn it back to stock if needs be. So that was nice. So now I'm running on my own controller. The things you do have to do with that controller, and we'll talk about some of the fun is with both the DX5 and my new controller that I bought this week. Obviously all the channels then have to reset all the endpoints for the 2-speed gearbox and the dig function. The only other thing I've done to this, and I've only got a 5-channel servo, hence the split lead for lights. The only other thing I've done is Hobbywing Quick Run Fusion SE. Love this motor ESC all-in-one. Unbelievably easy fit. Really, I just worked so well for me at the Nationals for difficult terrain, low speed control and for trail running. Amazing motor as far as I'm concerned. I will definitely be fitting those in any other platforms I get. Bang for buck, unbelievable. I can't remember how much, I think that £80 for the SE, and yeah, really good. And I can actually get my finger in under the body and turn it on and off from here. So that's what we've done so far. The shocks are still pretty good. Really happy with them, but I bought, while I had an order in, I bought some rebuild kits just in case I needed them in the future. So that's the truck. We are going to fit this now while we're chatting, and then I'll talk about, first of all, a couple of the tweaks that I found with idiot moments I found with this, the Spektrum DX5, and then we'll talk about why I've now got a DX Rugged Plus. This is the one I'm using now. So put that out of the way for now. We'll talk about the Rugged 5 and what happened while we fit the brass end. So we'll turn it around so hopefully you can see that bit. Swinging that all over the place. I'm going to guess it's one of those. So DX5. I quite like the DX5. I will say that, and anyone who's had a Spektrum Rugged will say the same thing. On the back here, there's a touch panel. On the DX5 and DX6, it's touch on the middle to select OK, and then you have to do this kind of scroll motion to move up and down the scroll on the controller. Awful, really annoying. Really struggled with it. I mean, fortunately, you only need it to set set the thing up once. But there's what, 1, 2. For that, I had 4 cars on it, so setting 4 cars up, just a little bit annoying. But it was okay. And once you got this, you can adjust the sensitivity, and I kind of got used to it and got it working, and all was good. Other than that, it was a great little controller. Really enjoyed it. The thumb steer fits for me. It's rugged. I have had it out in the rain. There are reports of the touchscreen being a bit funny in the rain. I didn't have any issues with it. I carried a cloth around with me just to wipe moisture off if I, like heavy rain off if I needed to. But other than that, brilliant. The only other thing, these rubber bits sometimes come out the side a little bit. You can see it doing there. I need to re-poke that in. But yeah, not a problem. And then I was fitting some stuff at the during the week, and I was turning the truck on and off, and I noticed I turned it off, which is a kind of long press on the power button there on the side, and I went to turn it back on again, and there was no click. The button was stuck down, and I thought, oh, it's just some gunk in there or something. Tried flicking it, didn't work. Flicked it a bit harder, didn't work. Flicked it again, and the button went into the controller. And I went, oh, rubbish. Like, now I've snapped, I've snapped something inside. It's cracked. The controller's done. Kind of grumped around the house for 20 minutes. The thing was rattling. That was it. I was done. So, and I wasn't going to faff around trying. I know people say, oh yeah, you could have stripped it apart and repaired it. It's like, oh, I'm not doing that. I was like, oh, okay, so now I'm in the market for a new controller. What am I going to get? What's out there? You know what? If I'm going to spend some money, I might as well kind of upgrade, do something different. And I was like, I quite like the fact that it's rugged. I'm starting to go out trail walking a little bit more. I do like the fact that, I could use it and it's pretty robust. So I was like, the DX6 is the next one up. Do I get a second-hand DX6 or do I do something else? I'm in an hour in, and then I was talking to my wife. I was like, do you know what? I'll just get the new one, Rugged Plus. So went and got the new one, ordered it, came, brilliant. Once I got this set up to this, now what I will say is the big change for me on this touchpad now, it's not a stupid scroll motion. It's touch, 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 touch or hold. Far less issues with it. This, straight out of the box, didn't need to say anything, worked perfectly, messed around, got it set up, beautiful. Of course, once I've got it set up, I'm then thinking, oh, now I'm confident I'm confident enough, I might as well have a play at the old one and see if I can repair it. So that's what I did. And that was once I'd got the new DX12 Plus all set up and running on the new one. I knew this wasn't going to be as easy as I thought it was going to be. I don't think, does that look like, no, so it should just pop off, but it's ground, so I've ground this so hard, I think it's probably half cold welded itself on. So we will continue to have a play with this and see if we can get it off. Anyway, essentially, pull the rubber off here. I thought, oh, this is going to be glued on. No, this isn't glued on, this is push fit as well, so this peels off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws. Sides came apart, and this button actually it's a really strange design. It kind of sits in the hole and has a hole in the middle, like a screw in the middle, and there's a little leg that comes out the side to press on the micro switch. And so I thought, I wonder, and so I did, and kind of refitted it. There we go, come on. Refitted it, and it works. It works. So I've got a working DX5 as a spare now, because I'm not going to go back to the DX5, mainly because the DX Rugged Plus is set up so much better. Really, really nice. So I've got the Rugged Plus now, the new one. Not only is the touchscreen better, it's dual protocol, which means it works with the SLT system, which the DX5 does not. The DX6 does, the 5 doesn't. This does, which means my little SCX30 on the shelf back there is now controlled by this. So this controller now controls every car I own that is not a Traxxas. Awesome. Really, really happy with that. It's a great bit of kit. Right, let's have a quick look in here. Oh, there's a good amount of grease in there still. There is a little bit. Looks like a little bit of corrosion. It did get stupidly wet. It might not be corrosion, it might just be marking, but on that bearing there, where it's sat. But that is overall really nice. So what we're going to do is I've got and I have got little bits of corrosion that I had to deal with when I came back from the Nationals on the truck. It did get completely soaked and wet. It did go through a whole bunch of mud. It did clean it straight away. So, got some Kawase yada butter. We will squeeze some of that into the diff. And spread it round. Just enough to keep it. There we go. So yeah, overall very, very happy, but yeah, stupid. I could have been patient and maybe tried to fix it. I'm glad my lovely wife doesn't watch my videos. But overall though, really, really happy. This is a massive, massive improvement over the DX5 in terms of how that all works and comes together, how the oh, that's nice, how the system works. Again, that's now programmed for my SCX24 build, my SCX30 build. It's programmed for this, it's programmed for the Scooby up there, it's programmed for the Hornet. Really, really happy. Far easier to like using the menus, far easier in that with the new scrolling system than the old one on the DX5. So yeah, overall very, very happy. I am not happy though with the way that fits at the moment, so we're just going to have a quick look. That's fine. Couple of things to note. If you are thinking of going, I guess it, again, idiot's guide, I'd never done any of this before. So the funny story with the DX5 that I then applied to the DX6, I'd set it all up, kind of read some things online, did the usual research, fine. And then took it to RC Complex for the test, brilliant. Tested it, played with the winch, and then later on tested it again. I'd lost reverse, completely lost reverse. I hadn't set the gearbox up either properly, so that, these screws are all the same length. I don't want to over graunch that. Okay, we might need, double check the length. Lost reverse, completely lost reverse. No idea what was going on. Played around with it, set a new, oh, they are different lengths, idiot boy. And I didn't check which ones go where. Yeah, lost reverse. Anyway, after checking around, eventually found online that there's some default settings, because I found if I changed my if I created a new model, everything worked. So I knew it was something, it wasn't something catastrophic. Turns out I'm using button F. So this button here, I use for my winch. That button is by default set to, I think it's brake trim. It's either brake trim or one of the throttle trims, but it's set to a thing, and essentially whenever I wound the winch in, it meant I essentially lost reverse. So there's one for you. If you do use any of if you are thinking about getting either of the, I think it's the same for the DX5 and the DX3 and some of the others. So if you are thinking about getting a Spektrum controller, have a look at it. It's in the manual. Of course it is. It didn't check the manual first. Why would I? It's in the manual. It tells you what the defaults, what some of the default trim set switches are set to. Check your defaults, because you might get an unexpected side effect, like I did. So when I reset it for this one, for the Rugged Plus, clearly I actually went in and checked the manual. I was like, is there any default set on this one? And it was exactly the same default. So yeah, do check your defaults, because otherwise you might be going, why have I got lost? Like I was. Why have I lost reverse? What's going on? And it was entirely my own fault. User error. Right. That looks like it's lined up. I'm trying to see why my screw is not going in smoothly, but it looks lined up. Oh, there we go. There we go. Just needed a little bit of persuasion. So quick, final bit of that upgrade. We'll do a quick controller test in a moment, once we've got that all tweaked up. Why have I put a weighted front on? Well, recently I've put, if any of you see me on Facebook, I've recently put a roof rack and a some kit on the top, so made it a little bit more top heavy. I wanted to put some weight up front on the axle. I am thinking about, so next upgrades for this, I am thinking about, you can get brass hubs. So we've got the brass axle, just put the front one on. I don't want one on the back, I want all the weight up front really. I want a lot of front bias. You can get hubs, brass hubs. There's two different versions, so two different weights. I want to see how this handles first before I commit to that. But yeah, there's definitely now a front. There's definitely quite a big front weight bias. We'll see what that looks like when we get the roof rack on in a minute. So let's turn that on. I've got a battery here somewhere just to check a few things, and we'll also talk about the roof rack and the other stupid moment this week that I had. So let's plug that in, tuck that out of the way. Never know what to do with the balance leads. If anyone's got really good tips on what to do with balance leads to keep them out of the way when the body goes on, I'm all blinking ears. Right, we'll connect the body, we'll connect the lights for the body, and then we'll talk about, in fact no, we'll talk about what I did first. So, Amazon roof rack. There are covers for these side bits. I was a screw nut and screw short in the kit, so I will buy some of those and fit those later. Really liked it. Put some limb deflectors on because I love that look. My Land Rover, when I had one, had them. I think they're fantastic. However, to get to there, to get the body off on the FTX, there's 6 screws, 2 at the front here, and 4 around the side, and then there are these little clips, and they're the clips I've got spares of. They're fully circular little clips. They're a right pain in the backside. Now, as I said, I'm not the most patient person. I tried to kind of lever the first couple off and actually snapped the long bit of plastic that they sit on, and then finally decided that actually if you snip them they come off, and so that's what I did. Now I've recently found out that if you snip them carefully you can reuse them. Obviously I didn't. Now my initial plan and my current plan is I've put all of the screws and the pole in there up at the handle. And what I found when I put it back on just temporarily was actually they kind of push fit quite nicely, and certainly the ones where there's a bit of length they hold, and there's 6 screws still holding it on. It's robust. So that's how I'm leaving it for the moment, but I have got spare clips and the spare plastic parts to replace these should I need to. I'm not going to replace them till I need to, because this kind of works now, and once the body's on, you can't tell. It doesn't look like they're going anywhere soon because they're still held in with one screw, so we shall see. Right, under here somewhere I've got my light bar. So I don't know whether anyone else does this or not. I put a white line with a white marker, with a white paint marker there, because yes, you can always say, okay, it's red to red. When you're in a rush, or when it's dark, or when you're faffing around, actually just having a white line. So I know white line out, white line out, plug it in, it's good to go. That's on the Centaur. So all I want to do now is I'm going to very quickly, I probably don't need to put the body on for this, but I'll put it on anyway. Lock it down. So what have I done? On the top I've got I think pretty standard, everyone has. Roof net. I've got a bag that I'd got from, I think that's from Temu or somewhere. Wooden box and some plastic crates came in a kit that I had, and so that's what we wanted. So put those on. A lot of the stickers are starting to come off this now because it just got so, I mean, I did really abuse this on Scale Nationals. Let's see, we got, that is, sounds good, put it in second gear. Let's dig. Yeah, lovely. And the balance point, I mean, all right, we're not weighing it, but balance point is definitely forward of centre. So yeah, nice. I like that. That looks good, that brass, I think. And yeah, definitely good front bias. I love how this is coming together from kind of a stock Centaur. What's next? So shock service at some point, I think. I've got the service kits, the rebuild kits. We'll do that at some point. Again, not urgent really. What do I want to do with it? Brass knuckles maybe is next. I've got potentially, if I do the brass knuckles though, I might need to do the steering servo. You know, this is the stock steering servo. We'll have a quick look at it. It's right. It's not fast, but it's, if we put some weight on it, you know, it'll twist the trenches. It's more than adequate. It's just not particularly fast. Definitely want to get some sand ladders on the sides up here somewhere. I think I'm missing sand ladders. Maybe some other bits and bobs. Maybe an antenna. Don't know. Kind of, they're the things I've had. It's scale stuff. Maybe a trailer. I don't want to run the tow hook all the time because, like I say, it really does impact that that departure angle, and I don't want to mess with that too much. This was so much fun to run, so good. I think that's not it. The one thing looks wise as well, I think, spotlights on the top. So this, I've got effectively four spotlight mounts. I've got a light bar on one of my TRX4Ms. I love the light bar, but I think, in fact, I'll get that. That's the TRX, this one. So this TRX4M, look at the size difference. I love it. Again, similar layout. So it's got a bag. It's got the roof rack. It's got I've got some chains coming for this as well, actually, for the roof rack. This has got a roof bar. Like it. I think it suits that model quite well. But what I'd like is probably like some retro square cibbies or something on here. I don't want round ones. So we'll see how it performs next week. Really, really happy. Hopefully you know, some of the mistakes I've made this week, not everyone will have to make. I will say, if you are thinking about a rugged and you start reading, I've not seen a lot of reviews for the Rugged Plus. There's lots for the DX6, lots for the DX5. They both say the same thing about this pad. This is a different pad in the Rugged Plus. For me, that's a massive, massive game changer. It was really, really easy to set up all 5 of the trucks, 6 of the truck. How many trucks have I got on this now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 5 trucks on this. And again, as and when the Traxxas trucks come off of the Traxxas platform, they'll go onto this. I've got 1 spare receiver already. This will go with DSM2, DSMR and SLT. So the SCX30, complete out of the new wheels, completely stock. Set this to SLT, bind it, it bound straight away, not a problem. My DSM2, so my Hornet and the Scooby are both on DSM2 because they were cheap, and they're just bashers really. They're nothing exciting. Put the bind plug in, bound it, bound straight away, set endpoints. Specifically for the TTO2, I was going to rip the servo out of that thing if I didn't set endpoints. Set the endpoints, awesome. This 5-channel receiver in this, so standard 2, winch, 2-speed gearbox, dig. Really easy. So there's loads of videos out there on setting it up. If someone wants me to walk through it, I can do, but there's a ton of great videos on it's the same for any Spektrum DX or DXC radio. You set how to set kind of 3 position switches up on all the different types of switches, whether it's momentary or whether it's not, whether it's cycle or not. Great tutorials out there on YouTube. Just Google it, YouTube it, you'll find it. I reckon it took me, take the 2 servos out, set all the other channels, set the channels, put the servos in, 20 minutes max, to rebind this to that with all of the functions working. The SCX30 took less than a minute. All the others, a couple of minutes, bind plug in, turn it on, bind it, done. So yeah, haven't seen lots online on, other than kind of the launch videos where all the YouTubers did it on the Centaur. So I haven't seen lots on upgrading it. So I thought I'd do a quick chat through the upgrades I've got. And I haven't seen a lot on the DX Rugged Plus, the kind of latest version of it. Thought I'd do something on that. Really, really pleased actually. I kind of half glad that the power button went on that and forced me into getting that, because that's night and day between the two. Absolutely night and day in terms of user experience, setup. So very, very happy. Although it was caused by stupidity in a number of cases, as was some of the other stuff on here. But hopefully I will get a short video out. I'm going to test this out on the trail probably next weekend. If you've got any questions on the Centaur, what I've done to it, the upgrades, my frustrations, the things that I've really liked about it, pop them in the comments. Always happy to chat. Different format video. Hope you liked it. Until next one, stay on the trails.